Good morning, distinguished ministers. Good morning, distinguished religious leaders. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Because we don't have a lot of time, I'm going to stand on existing protocols. I am especially grateful to Auntie Ami and the Office of the President for inviting me to this forum, but especially more thankful for being considered a youth. I mean, that is the highlight of my day, so thank you for that. This forum is really important because it talks about reflecting and understanding and nurturing our understanding of democracy. I'm sure most people who went to school at around my generation, which is a long, long time ago, were told that the definition of democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. I mean, we could recite this definition. We could recite this definition, sleeping, because that's what we were told. But at that age, I'm not even sure that we understood what it meant or were able to even articulate and discuss our ideas around it. But we still have a difference in opinion about what democracy means. And I'm going to start with this story. A couple of years ago, my friend and I were having this discussion about what democracy means. And she explained how, following the 2016 elections, she had a group of boys in her neighborhood who were smoking. And she went to address the issue with them. And they responded, "Sis, legi time democracy la, luñu neex def." So I think the understanding here is that most Gambians think that democracy means they have the freedom to act and express themselves in any way they want. And that is why it is important that we have forums like this so that we can talk about what we need to do to promote democracy. It starts with education. It starts with informing and enlightening people so that they understand that there are limits to their rights to act with freedom, to do whatever they want. When your rights start to encroach on somebody else's rights, it is no longer democracy. And I think it is very important that we talk about that. Okay. We've also been told, and we heard this a lot from Nelson Mandela, that democracy and human rights are inseparable. And I'm sure we largely agree on that principle. We are also told that there can be no democracy without truth. And there can be no truth without controversy. So forgive me if what I have to say about my opinion on democracy is a little bit controversial, but let us just call it my democratic right to express myself. I sought and I received Auntie Ami's blessings to talk about democracy in the context of my field, which is the field of finance. I'm sure I will not get any disagreements when I say that democracy inspires economic growth. I am sure I will also have your agreement when I say that a robust democratic institution and foreign direct investment are key drivers of economic growth. Again, I'm sure you will agree with me when I say that a solid democratic institution is better equipped to absorb the benefits of foreign direct investments. The Gambia is a small, developing, open economy with a narrow economic base. Therefore, we need to be able to harness our democracy to inspire economic growth. While I will agree that the Gambia's democratic process is commendable, we've had successful elections. I think my predecessor has talked about that before, so I will not belabor that point. We've also performed fairly well in international economic programs that we have. But today I want to talk about the things that we do and how they impact on my sector. In 2016, before the election, my sector, the banking sector, was only able to mobilize deposits of around $17 billion. This is just before the elections. Today, by the end of December 22, we are talking about deposit mobilization of over $54 billion. So 17 billion to 54 billion is a huge difference. And I think we can give credit for that to peace and stability. In my sector, we had a loan book industry-wide of about $4 billion just prior to the elections. Today, financial intermediation is up to almost $14 billion. Again, a very major growth. What does this say? It says that peace and stability is very, very important in our sector. And it means that when people trust, then they are able to send more remittances into the country, they're able to do more business in the country, and they expect that the financial institutions are well regulated and there are adequate infrastructure in place to be able to protect their investments. So that is very important that we take away from these discussions. Like I said before, the Gambia is a very small country, but we've seen that real GDP growth for 2021, rather 2022, has grown. And this is backed by remittance inflows and the recovery in tourism. We've seen a lot of Gambians, those overseas, we've seen a lot of foreigners invest more in our country, even in construction. We see a lot of them now trying to be homeowners. Do you think that would be possible if we were a nation that was engaged in wars and instability? No, it wouldn't. So I think the key takeaway from this is we have a responsibility to make sure that to help our country grow, to help our economy grow, we need to make sure that we fulfill our obligations to keep our country safe and secure. We need to talk about the negative aspects of democracy. We are a small economy that needs access to international correspondent banking relationships in order to be able to facilitate cross-border payments and things like that. It is very disheartening to see how people use, especially nowadays in the days of social media, when people have a platform to be able to exercise their democratic rights to talk about their opinions, how they do so carelessly, and they do not pay attention to the impact that what they say and what they do has on the rest of us. As far as I'm concerned, I feel that what you say and what you do is affecting my right to be able to do business in the way that I need to do it. And I'll give you this example. A lot of you may or may not be familiar with the fact that Gambia, like other African countries, are facing severe de-risking by correspondent banks, international banks. And they do so because they do not feel that we have the democratic structures in place to guarantee good corporate governance structures, to guarantee good regulatory environments. Basically, they don't trust us. They don't think that we are doing a good job of this. And where do they get that information from? From us and what we put out on social media. It is somebody's job somewhere to sit down. 2 minutes. Okay. It is somebody's job somewhere to sit down and look at adverse media on a daily basis. And what we are doing is we are providing them with ammunition to say that they are right in their views of Africa. A correspondent bank will de-risk you and tell you you didn't do anything wrong personally, but it is a country risk. It is a country risk because we do not respect each other. So we put anything we like on social media thinking that we are fighting each other. Ladies and gentlemen, if we do not respect ourselves, nobody else will. We cannot operate in isolation. We need the world. Therefore, it is time to use our so-called democracy to make sure that we put ourselves in good light. We need to be respected as a country, and it starts with us. Thank you.